Hi, I'm Bruce Six, Chief Investment Officer, Mid-Atlantic Corporate, and this is the economic update for February 2014. Today we're going to talk about the Fed tapering and why rates are falling. What does this mean for credit unions? And finally, the January data releases. So the Fed tapered another $10 billion on January 29th. We were expecting rates to slowly start working their way up, and in fact we're seeing rates fall all the way through January and now into February. What are some of the reasons for this? Number one, there's a lot of concern worldwide about other economies slowing down. The biggest concern being China. China is showing signs of significant slowing as the second largest economy in the world. That creates a lot of concern. We've also seen that as rates did start working their way up in the latter part of 2014 in the United States, that was siphoning off liquidity to some of the developing markets. That's meaning those developing markets have to raise their rates, which could slow their economies, but they need the liquidity, so chicken and egg for them. Fed tapering does create the perception that the Fed's got its eye on the ball for inflation. Remember, rates going up is supposed to slow the economy. That would keep inflation in check. It has market watchers thinking that the Fed's not lost sight that inflation could be a problem down the road, and so that takes some of the pressure off the 10-year. And finally, we have had some weakness in the domestic economy here in the U.S. Not that we're going into any kind of a contraction, but we're really looking at, slower jobs growth coming out of December with only 78,000 jobs created. It's supposed to be around 200,000 jobs. Gross domestic product come down just a little bit more than expected. Durable goods orders come down, and even housing has continued to slow just a little bit. So it's not stopping, but it's slowing. That's creating some kind of concern. There are some mitigating factors in there. The Fed tries to factor in seasonality, but we've had a brutal weather pattern going on in the United States here. The West, California, worst droughts they've ever had in California. Here in the Northeast, of course, it's been very, very cold, and the South, who's not used to the cold, has had ice storms and things like that. So all of those things weigh on the economy. That's going to be a concern, but hopefully a short-term concern. What does this all mean for credit unions? The Fed has been very overt about saying that even after the asset purchase program is done, you really shouldn't expect to see the Fed funds rate move up until probably the middle of 15, maybe even 2016. Mortgage activity could be an uptick right now. With the 10-year coming down, we see that mortgage rates should work their way down a little bit. The Super Bowl is the unofficial start of the mortgage buying season. We're going into a buying season with rates moving down ever so slowly, but still going down, and we may be able to pull those last fence sitters off and get them active. Another thing to look at, R.L. Polk in the middle of 2013 said that the average age of a car in the United States is 11.4 years old, the longest it's ever been since we've started recording these numbers. Auto loans are a great asset on credit union books, even though cars are made better, even though people have tried to hold off. At some point you do have to replace the car, and hopefully going into the spring buying season, that'll be a good opportunity for credit unions to pick up some loans. And finally, talking to members, we're seeing a lot of activity on home equity loans, home equity lines of credit. A lot of people have decided, hey, I'm going to stay in my house, but I'd like to make some improvements, put a new roof on, a new deck, fix the driveway, things like that. All of these are good loans for credit unions to make, especially if you can get members to go into home equity lines of credit because they're variable rate. So that takes a lot of pressure off your balance sheet from interest rate risk. As we look at the top tier economic releases, we have the payroll report coming out on February 7th. We have the personal consumption expenditure report coming out on February 28th, and we have the Case-Shiller home price report coming out on February 25th. That's the economic update for February 2014. Make it a great month.